Yeah, motorsport is just as much of a team sport as any other sport that I've seen. There's 50 odd people at Triple Eight Race Engineering, and we run 3 cars and just try to get the best result for all 3 cars. There are individuals, so I'll just drive car 1. And I've got 2 mechanics that just work on car 1 and an engineer, but everyone else is there for the interest of the whole team. So how do you motivate that group after so many years? You know what? There's no real secret, or there's no thing going on behind the scenes that we do that nobody else does. We keep it simple, and we love the fact. We love the aspect of motorsport, which is go out there, build a car, take it to the track, race our mates, and enjoy trying to get to the finish line before anyone else. Well, I think it's okay to have highs and lows. You know what I mean? It's okay to be down at times, and you have to balance out the extreme highs of being successful and having a win. You know, so the highest of highs, there are lowest of lows, but what you're saying, how do you keep that motivation above the centre line? And you've got to love what you do. You've got to, in my opinion, keep it simple, but certainly love what you do, and just enjoy the aspect of achieving something as a group. You know, I've been able to, during my life, I've been able to do some good things individually, but there's no better feeling than being able to achieve good things with a group of people, but add on top of that, if they're good friends or almost family, then that also adds to the elements. There's no one thing, but everyone try. The best thing for me is lead by example. You know, if there's no, we all go through tough times. I say tough. You've got to put it into perspective. It is still sport at the end of the day. It's not. We're not at war, although it feels like it at times. But no, we go through. You know, we at times we're not on the right trajectory, or not quite on the plan that we've set out to achieve. So therefore, we just need to bring ourselves up. You know, and all you can do. A good team doesn't need to talk about it. They don't need to huddle and say, this is what we're going to do. Everyone knows it, and everyone knows to step up and be there for your teammate, and lead by example. So just get in there and get it done. And we know if we all work hard, that we'll, our day will come. No, there's no big event that happens. You know what I mean? It just goes up and down as the year goes on, and there's hopefully you don't get in too much of a hole. You know what I mean? We've never been in a situation where we're in a deep hole that we can't get out of. We recognise that the hole's getting bigger and try to get the shovels out and fill it up as quick as we can. Yeah, of course. There's the majors. You know, we all go through. This year, like right now, is a good time. We've just had 5 race meetings in 10 weeks, all travelling south. So the guys and girls have been away from their family for the last 3 or 4 months, quite a bit. And we had the new car build as well. So we've built 3 brand new cars, plus all the componentry for customers. We're almost on a motorsport burnout at the moment, and have just been hanging on to this little break. Hey, we're not leading the championship, so there's a lot of work to be done, but everyone's very tired as well. So it's balancing that fatigue to let's move forward and keep improving the car, but you know, everyone's there for each other. Everyone understands that there's the big goal, the goal at the end of the year, and we all work towards what's best right now. Is it rest? Is it work hard? Finding that balance. So right now is a good time where the team do need to be reminded that we are in one of the best teams in the country. It's a great sport we do. We love what we do. Once we recharge the batteries, we'll be hard back into it. The great thing about my team is everyone sort of knows. You know what I mean? There's not this. We don't need to. At the end of the day, talk's cheap in some way. Yeah, it's great at half time or having some big speech, but it doesn't really work too much for our type of team. You know, everyone knows, everyone understands, talk's cheap. It's just about what you do, and we just get out there and we battle our way out of it. We work our way out of it. That was what my father taught me, and that's what so many of my teammates at Triple Eight do. When it gets tough, we just work harder and just battle our way out of it. And as I said, once we see that hole starting to get bigger, we just shovel as hard as we can and fill it back up and make sure it doesn't get ahead of us. Big one about goal setting is not focus on the end result. Most people will sit here and go, I want to win the championship. That's great. I want to win the premiership. I want to do this. I want to win Bathurst, for example. But that's irrelevant. Spending any time thinking about that end goal for me is just negative, and it's a waste of time. It's what you got to. It's the steps you got to do to achieve that goal, and they're always the hard ones, and that's the hard grind. Just grinding it out, trying to do all those small steps, and if you do all those right, then the end result will take care of itself. So for me, even when I go to schools and talk to young kids, I always say it's okay to have a vision of the end goal, but don't focus on it. You know what I mean? Don't spend a heap of time just worrying about that end result. It's about the processes in between, and that's where all the time needs to be spent on. And if you do all those right, as I said, the end result takes care of itself. Couple of ones there. You don't always focus on the weaknesses. We all do it. We'll hold an event, or we'll have a strategy or something, or a race meeting, and then it's so easy just to look at the weaknesses, and just focus on the weaknesses. Let's improve our weaknesses. But the facts are there's some big strengths there, and you've got to make sure you keep those strengths. If you don't keep those strengths, then the core of your team is not there. So, one, focus on making sure you maintain the strengths just as much as let's improve the weaknesses as well. Over the time, I've learnt, hey, I want to help out. I want to help out as far as engineering the car goes, sponsorship of the team. You know what I mean? Running the management side of things. Everyone wants to help each other out. But at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is make sure you do your job really well, and it's so easy to look at others and judge their job and go, you should be doing this, or get involved in other people's work. And it's great to have opinions and be able to help that person out. But first and foremost, I've got to make sure I do and as good a job as I possibly can and showcase the engineering of the car. You know what I mean? There's 50 people who've worked to get this car to the circuit. My job is pretty simple. Just showcase what that car's capable of. Whether it's first, 10th, 20th, whatever it is, I've got to maximise that vehicle. So I often have to keep reminding myself, focus on your job, make sure you go out there and do your job to the best of your ability. If you've got a little bit left, then certainly help everyone else out to in their position. For me, I don't get as nervous before an event or before an actual race. So if I'm sitting on the grid, not that nervous, I know my motivation's lacking, and then I just got to remind myself on why I'm doing it. And the people, also the influential people in my life that have helped me get to where I am, I certainly owe it to them to make sure I put in my best performance. And deep down, I want it for myself as well. So that's a good indicator that I need to up the motivation a little bit. The weird thing about motorsport is all my skills and everything I do is just self-taught. So I don't have a coach. I've never had a coach. There's no driving instructor. There's nothing. It's all just been through trial and error. I crashed a lot. I still crash a lot. You pushing the limit a little bit too much, push over the line, you crash or end up in the gravel trap, or make a mistake, and then you learn from those mistakes. So I'm all self-taught, and I'll reassess myself after every race meeting and go, what did I do well? What didn't I do so well? How can I get better the next one? And that's all just me as an individual, with no help through anyone else. And I'm somewhat grateful for it because I feel like I'm pretty good at taking a bird's eye view, especially in other parts of my life as well. Yeah, it's because I've been doing it since I was 7 years old. I can easily just assess my situation, just take the personal side of it, take myself out of the situation, and just look down and go, what did you do well, what didn't you do well, and just have an honest opinion on all that. And I find that I can easily recognise where I didn't do so well, and try to make a gain. Yeah. I certainly, you can see if people are doing an exceptional job or they're below average, without doubt. I'm a big believer of, mate, just empower someone to absolutely give it all they've got. And I say this, I go to my team boss all the time and say, mate, just let me do my job. Don't tell me how to drive the car. I certainly give me some advice whenever needed, but just let me do my job. At the end of the year, if that's not good enough, then flick me. You know what I mean? And I'll go drive for somebody else. But don't try to half drive. You know what I mean? And same with the engineers. Don't. There's no point trying to half do somebody else's job, or just let them empower them to go out there and go as hard as they can, take some risks, get the most out of themselves. And if at the end of the day, if that's not good enough at the end of the year, then move on. For sure. Life's not all about motorsport. It's very easy to get embroiled in sport in general, especially motorsport. It's so addictive, you know. I started when I was 7, and I can't think of life without motorsport. It's an addiction. So, but it's very, very much important to have life's. It's important to have a balance in life, isn't it? There's no point being one skill and so narrow-minded in one particular area. That there's all sorts of troubles that are associated with that. So of course, I'm going to spend the majority of my time on motorsport, but certainly branch out and have some good balance in life, and I encourage everyone to do that, and they certainly embrace that as well. You know, we're always talking about footy, mountain bike riding. A few people have got some little projects on the go at home, and a lot of the time. No, I shouldn't say a lot of the time. Certainly at dinners, we have dinner every night at the circuit. It's very rare that we're ever talking about or car racing. It's always about other stuff, which is quite refreshing. It helps balance, so therefore, helps performance. If you're doing one thing, it just gets tiring. So no, I think for sure it helps performance because it offers up a good balance. Yeah, but that's an issue. I shouldn't say an issue. That's something I do find if I go to dinner with people I don't know. They automatically love to talk about motorsport, but that's the last thing I want to talk about. It's no different to anyone. If you don't want to spend your whole evening with new people talking about your job, really, you want to be talking about who won Bachelor of the Year, or you know what I mean, what's going on in my kitchen rules or whatever. So no, it's certainly. It's when I'm around new people, I certainly ask them to let's not talk about work. Let's talk about the fun of things in life. Yes, for sure. Yeah. Certainly learn more listening. No doubt. Listening's key. We're given 2 ears and 1 mouth, so yeah, you should listen to us as much as you talk. That's certainly how you learn the most. And once again, I spend so much time talking about motorsport. Yeah, you do need a balance and variety. So when I'm away from the track or away from the team or the guys and girls that are involved in the team, then yeah, I certainly love to chat about something else. There's nothing worse than coming home after a long weekend and talking about the weekend again. You know what I mean? Just want to be a normal person and talk about the good things in life. I certainly ask more questions without doubt because I want to get opinions. You know, and I love variety. Like I'm fairly strong. I'm fairly opinionated, and I'll go away and study something and feel like I know the answer. But I certainly love to be challenged on the answer, and love. I do enjoy getting proven wrong because I've worked pretty hard to come up with an opinion, and if I'm proven wrong, it's a good thing. The one thing I've learned is there's not one way to do things. There's to make a car go around a track fast. There's this traditional textbook way, but then there's 4 or 5 other ways of being able to get to that finish line before everyone else outside of the textbook. So no one's right or wrong. I'm very mathematical and, by the textbook, but I certainly enjoy seeing how others get an amazing result outside of that, because there's elements there that probably should be brought back into the textbook in a way. You know what I mean? There's elements there that you don't see that I can certainly learn from. And the craziest thing, like I've been in this team for 12 years now. I've been doing it for 15 years or something. And the amount you still learn, you'd think you'd be almost tapped, and there's no more to learn. There's no big gains to be found. But then, still this year, you find this massive gain. You're like, why didn't I think of that 5 years ago? And it's never going to end. There's so many more massive gains to be made that are there in the future that I need to grab onto now as quick as I possibly can. So, for me, it's just the race of time. It's just, I jump in a car, one of our cars that we've built, and it's the best of the best from 5 years ago, and it looks pretty ordinary. You're like, why didn't we do that back then? So if we can race the time and speed up and get to where we would be in 5 years' time now, then we're going to be ahead of the game. So it's as I say, it's a race of time, trying to get ahead of the game and ahead of time. But that's not common. Like I'll go to a go-kart track.
Sorry,
and then
I think you need to face.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to get some content. I'll go to a go-kart track and Dad's like, my son here, he's going to race Formula One, you know what I mean? Or this kid's going to play the AFL. Yeah. And the parents are actually telling these kids the end result. They're smashing the end result, which is terrible. Yeah. You're like, what are you doing, mate? You know what I mean? You just should just be worrying about the next race, rather than this is what's going to happen in 10 years' time. Killing the kids. There's only minors, you know what I mean? There's only just, and it's no more than, hey, forget about that. Let's just worry about the next race. Focus on the next race. We're pretty motivated as a group. We're motivated. Maybe a little bit arrogant if you say that. You know what I mean? We've got big confidence going on that we can do the job. We certainly put a hand up and say, hey, we did a poor performance, But we're like, we've got this, you know what I mean? We've been behind 5 or 6 times in the last sort of 12 years where we've been getting pretty dusted by another team, but we've always dragged ourselves out of it. So we've just gained massive confidence that we're going to drag ourselves out of it. This year, we're 300 points down. It's a long way, but there's no panic at this stage that, we're not going to get there. It's just, we're just going to work harder and we're going to drag ourselves out of it and we're going to get there. So there's no one's beating themselves up. No one's too negative. It's almost a bit of arrogance to say, we'll be right. We'll get there. For sure. There's the flip side though. There's a flip side as in you got the target on your back. There's all this expectation, but you've got all this knowledge of been there, done that, know how to do it again, and you've got this massive confidence. And confidence is a big one. We all know sport's mental. So if you're mentally confident and you can visualise the end result and know what you need to do, then that's certainly a gain. So they both sort of equal each other out a little bit. We're extremely flat. The team owner is no more important than anyone else. I'm not gonna name the elements, but there's no hierarchy whatsoever. Everyone's there to achieve a goal, and we all do it equally and individually. And if any one of those team members performs above expectation, it helps out everyone else. If they perform below expectation, it hurts everyone else. So in some regard, I know it's a negative comment, but you're only as strong as your weakest link, but you are as strong as your strongest link as well. So it's we need to make sure everyone's firing on the big day. I think on top of everything, it's a respect thing. No one is more important than anyone else. Of course, the team manager has to set the expectation of what the team is all about. He or she has to certainly set clear direction on the expectations. Make sure everyone knows exactly what they need to do. So there's no, what do I got to do this race meeting, or what's my purpose in this team? So everyone knows what they're supposed to do. But a performance is everyone needs to smash it out of the park, so to speak, to win a race. So everyone's just as important as everyone else. So there's no need for any hierarchy. Yeah, well, of course people are getting paid differently. You know, I get paid a little bit more than the average because at the end of the day I'm strapped to this rocket, so to speak, and doing 300k, things can go wrong. So there's that hurt element. And my career, you know, by the time I'm sort of 40, it's sort of I'm at my end, where an engineer or someone in accounts can go on till they're 60 years old. So my income's sort of front loaded, so to speak. But yeah, so there's people getting paid differently. There's people in different roles that are perceived to be more important than others. But at the end of the day, we're all reliant on each other, and the variety of team members is what's key. If we're all entrepreneurial, then it's not going to work. You know, you need a mix of teammates, and we all understand that we're all as important as each other. The thing is, no one's immune to, as my team boss say, get a bollocking, so to speak. If somebody's had a poor day, they know about it. No one's immune to any of that, and you know, no one's too important to sweep floors and make sure someone's got to run the sandwiches around at lunchtime to make sure everyone's fed. You know, so. The day that any one of our team members are too important to do the basic roles that run a team, then that's when the hierarchy thing's starting to kick in. So no, everyone helps set up the race team. Everyone helps pack down. Everyone's there till the end, until the truck's completely shut. As soon as that door's closed, then we can go home. Yeah, all the time. Yeah, all the time. Yeah, where I'm always. Yeah, if it needs to be done, if a sign falls over or someone needs a hand throwing the wheels in the rack, then yeah, absolutely. You know, most race meetings we're pretty fatigued. Everyone's mentally or physically fatigued. I've just done a 200k race. I'm pretty well done. I'll take 20 minutes after the race to cool down and get some food in, but then we pull the floors up, pull the walls down. Pack it all back in the truck like the circus, and it's not until that door's shut we all have a quick chat, and then we're out of there. So yeah, it's not like the drivers are picking up their briefcase and going to the airport to jump on the Learjet. It's we're all in there, we're all cleaning up, and we're there until it's all finished. Yeah, that's, as I say, it's almost embarrassing standing on the top step of the podium as by yourself, looking like the Lone Ranger. You know what I mean? I've got there myself. Everyone in our team knows that, you know, I mean, every bit of silverware that we've won is a group effort. That trophy doesn't sit at my house because it's not mine. It's the team's. It sits at the team for us all to look back and appreciate. And yeah, that's, once again, somebody's got to go and set the trophy. So that's me. Sometimes my name's on that trophy, which is hard to swallow, but that's the way it is. We don't set those rules, but certainly if we do get a great trophy, then it's shared amongst the team. And as I say, all the silverware is where it should be, and that's at the team headquarters. Well, yeah, but you can't reel off 50 people. You know what I mean? And if you reel off 2 or 3 that have performed well that day, then you're disrespecting the other 48. So I'm very careful. Sometimes I'd love to mention the direct people, you know, on car one, but it's really critical to make sure that it's not just singled out between 1 or 2 people. It's a full team effort. So I'll very rarely say me or, you know, or name any individuals. It's all about the group, because at the end of the day we're only as strong as the whole group. It's not a 9 to 5. There's huge overtime and huge personal sacrifice to be involved in this great sport of motorsport, and it's across the board. It's not just our team; it's across the board. If a car's in the wall at 5 o'clock that afternoon, then yeah, you're not going to get any sleep. So we're all not all of us. Certainly, it's critical that I go home and get to sleep. But I'm there till 9, 10 o'clock, making sure that doing whatever we can, pulling the car apart, putting it back together again. But then most of the team will have an all-nighter to get the car ready again. So once again, there's no overtime. Either you're in there doing it, or you decide you don't want to do it anymore. So there's never you stand out quite quickly, and it's always the individual will always put their hand up in our scenario and say, hey, I want to go do something else. The love of the sport is gone, and if you don't love the sport, you're never going to do the all-nighters and the overtime and the thing that's involved in being a successful race team. You're just not going to do it. As soon as that love's gone, it's all over. So it's never really a matter of recognising, oh, Johnny over here is not pulling his weight. He's put his hand up well before we've recognised, and that's fine. You can't. People's lives change, and people's motivations and wants change, and we've got some very good operators, and the best operators will recognise themselves that they need to move on before the team have to let them know. Well, you first recognise, do you love the sport? Are you working? Are you part of the team because of the sport? And if you don't love the sport, first and foremost, then you shouldn't be involved in the sport. And unfortunately, there's a few people in any sport that are there for the money, to get 5 minutes on the television, all this type of stuff, the parties and things that are associated. But at the end of the day, if you don't love the sport, then you shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? Yes, it is our source of income. It's our living, but go do something else if you don't actually love the concept of racing cars and trying to get to the finish line. So yeah, how do you? We never really have that issue of having to. Our staff turnover is really low. We've got a core group that have been there for a long time. That are there year in, year out. So it's very rare that new people come in, but when they do come in, it's generally 2 or 3 race meetings. They tend to work out if they love the sport or not, and if they don't, they move on. But if they do, then certainly we embrace them, and they're just as important to the team as anyone else. It's communication at the end of the day. It's communication. If we do lose a sponsor and we do need to let go 2 or 3 people, so to speak, then it's in the interest of the team. It's no one's trying to make more money, or there's no strategic thing to do that. At the end of the day, the team has to be sustainable. It has to continue on long past for many years to come. So therefore, if the reality is that we need to drop the numbers to 47, 45 people, then that's the reality. And the people that do have to go are the ones that we feel if sometimes we have to cut back certain people in certain areas to make sure that to make sure longevity of the team's there. I think in anything you have to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, then you're not going to last long at all. And I can understand. It's very easy for me. This is my hobby growing up when I was 7. I'm 0.01% of the population that have turned my hobby into my profession as well. So there's 99.9% of people that I can see would be quite a struggle to try to find something that provides them a living that they actually love as well. But you have to keep striving for it, and you have to find it, because if you don't love something, then it's going to be a grind, and that's never going to last. There's not longevity there. So in some way, it's a bit embarrassing in some way getting paid for what I do, because I do it for free, but I've got to earn a living as well. I've got bills to pay like everyone. So, but that's certainly well and truly secondary to. At the end of if my team said they're not going to pay me tomorrow, I'd still be doing what I do, because I just want to go out there and race my mates, and I just enjoy the concept and get so much satisfaction personally out of achieving things with a group of people. How do you do that? It's so natural with us. We'll get quite personal in our debriefs after a race meeting, because we'll come back to an issue. We've made a mistake, or there's been an issue, and a lot of the times it comes back to the human element. They just haven't performed well. And why didn't you perform well? I just wasn't feeling it. Why weren't you feeling it? I was on the phone to my partner an hour before, and I got put off, or it could be, we've been eating rubbish food for 3 days. Where'd this food come from? You know what I mean? We need to improve that, or it could be anything, or they could just be going through a tough time, or the motel. Motel was terrible. I had hardly any sleep. There was some racket going on, or there was a wedding going on the Saturday night, and didn't get any sleep and performed bad. So we just get personal about it and go, what brought you to not perform at your best, and then we just go about fixing it. We can offer support. We're not going to ring up someone's partner and go, hey, you come in for a meeting. That's over to you, but we'll make sure we're supporting our teammate to get through that. But then, can we change the hotel? Can we change the food? What else? How else can we help out personally for our teammates to perform at their best? Just poor work ethic. Yeah, not being there for your teammate. So if you just stick in your area and go, that's not my job, then that's unacceptable. I drive the car, but if anyone else is struggling at all with anything, then you pitch in and help them out. It is, once again, it's known. There's occasionally people are reminded, but it's just the culture. The culture sets the standard, and if you care about the sport and care about the team, you don't have to ask yourself the question, should I help my mate out? It's automatic. You want the best. You want the best for your team. So therefore, the best thing to do is help everyone else out. So it's not like we're going to be a good team. We're going to do this, and this. It's we're going to make it happen. You know what I mean? And we make it happen. So whatever curveball is thrown at us, we get it done, you know what I mean, and make sure we overcome it. I bring people together. A lot of the time, 99% of the time, it's a lack of communication if there's a bit of a conflict between two or three people or groups. We all get fatigued. We've all come out of a hard race meeting where we're tired and emotional. But it always comes back to a lack of communication if two people aren't agreeing with each other. So bring those two people together, and generally after 5 or 10 minutes of chatting it out, back to normal again and move on. Well, I'm just a big believer of lead by example. You have to lead by example. How can you expect your teammates to go above and beyond when you're not leading by example? And one thing I can't understand is that swimming coach walking up and down the outside of the pool. I don't know how I'd go with that, with getting told what to do by somebody that's potentially lazy walking up and down the outside of a pool. For me, it's absolutely lead by example, and I take that on to. I run a car wash down the road as well. And if I'm walking around just telling people what to do, you can't get any. There's no respect. So as I said before, it comes back to respect. Everyone's got to respect you to be able to do the hard yards. So you've got to get in there and do it. So lead by example. For us, what's really important is diversity and variety of different minds, different personalities to bring their opinions to the table. And it's massively encouraged by the senior people, because there's always a better way of doing things. There's always some element to make the team stronger. The worst team in pit lane is doing some things better than the best team in pit lane. So it's a matter of trying to find what those things are to make your team better. So say a young engineer coming in, we massively encourage them to give their opinion, give their feedback. Let us know if they can recognise anywhere where we can improve. Now, sometimes part of the point they're getting across. 10% of it maybe is of help, but certainly that 10% can be added. So certainly don't hold back in any way in giving an opinion, and absolutely it'll be heard, because once again we just need to grab all these little bits from all over the place to make one big grand picture. So day one, guys and girls have spent 2 months. Like I say 2 months, just 2 months rolls off the tongue pretty easy, but 10 o'clock most nights for probably 5 weeks straight. So no weekends, so 5 straight. So much personal sacrifice away from their family to get these cars ready to go. Day one, I stuff it in the fence pretty hard and just completely right off the whole left-hand side of the car. I felt pretty gutted with this $500,000 piece of machinery that everyone's worked so hard to build, and I've pretty much destroyed the thing, But the motivation I got back from those guys, they're like, mate, you're on a purple sector. Purple sector is a fast sector. You're doing your job. Your job is not to worry about how expensive the car is or what work's going on. Your job is to go out there and go as hard as you possibly can. You were trying to do that. Mistakes happen. We move on, So they give me massive motivation, and I jumped in the car the next day and just went as hard as I could through that corner again, And if it happened again, so be it. That's my job, is to go flat out. And then those guys and girls just did an absolute all-nighter to get that car back on the track Saturday morning. We all did our job to get back out there, and there's been 5 or 6 times over my career where that's actually happened, and looking back, it's one thing I'll remember for a long time. Those days where we just at all costs got the car back on the circuit. See, we all see influencers deliver these big speeches, and in some way that's somewhat important, but that's completely opposite to what I feel is good leadership. Good leadership is lead by example and get in there and do it. In some way, talk's cheap, and getting up in front of a group saying this is what we're going to do, that's one thing, and that works at times, but we very rarely do that. It's very, very rare that somebody's given out some big words. It's quite common though that people are in there grinding it out, leading by example and showing what I believe is awesome leadership. So for me, great leadership are the small things. It's just the grind, day in, day out, race meeting after race meeting, being there for your teammates and just showing this is what it's all about. Well, you don't see that unless you're actually involved. You're actually in there as part of that team. On the outside, when you're on the outside looking in, you see the big speeches, and that's publicised. You see the guys at halftime, you know what I mean? You're just smashing the paper. You see all those things, but once again, I don't see. Now I understand it. I don't see that as great leadership. I don't see influencers that can talk really well as great leaders, especially within a sporting environment. Probably mainly within a sporting environment. Politically, that's a good thing, you know what I mean? But in a sporting team, it's what's it all about? It's the constant grind, being there week in, week out. So the great leaders you hardly even hear of. Growing up, you'd see leadership as the big speech, the big hierarchy, standing in front of everyone, motivating people, and that's got its place. Certainly I've got it, but you see people that need motivating, then absolutely a great speech can motivate people, But the more I've grown up, and the more I've been around my race team, and seen leadership, the more I believe in just getting in there and getting it done and leading by example, which is the big one. And it automatically happened through my motorsport career, and working with my current team. But it wasn't really until I started my own small business washing cars down the road, employing 40 people, that I really started to understand those concepts and why they existed, and really started to think about why is leading by example so important rather than a fantastic speech, you know? So it wasn't until the last couple of years that I've fully understood it, but I was certainly involved in it for the last 10 or so years. Oh, I've learned a lot of things from him, no doubt. It's all the one percenters. It's work hard. Whoever spends the most time on something generally has the most knowledge and does the best job. It's about, I find with Roland, it's about spending time, not so much grinding it out, but simplifying your life, so to speak, so you can spend plenty of time on the thing that you want to achieve the most out of. So Roland would spend hours researching motorsport, researching the car industry, and then when it comes time to make the big calls, he's got the most knowledge on it and generally makes the right call rather than the wrong call. And once again, no hierarchy and leading by example. Just you want to be known as someone that's given it all they've got, and not necessarily just because we won. Didn't matter what result we got. It's just that individual or that particular team give it absolutely everything they got, and go out there every single race meeting and give it 100%. Certainly be there for them, give them opportunity to give their opinion, and to contribute to what is a great team. Not be intimidated by the fact that we've been around 15 years and we've got a wealth of knowledge. We always can be better. And we value everyone's opinion and bring it to the table whenever possible, and understand the team as much as they possibly can. 100%, yeah, 100%. You respect people's privacy as well, but if motorsport is their life or is our life, and understanding what everyone does outside of motorsport is a good way to really truly understand that person. And a lot of the time we will spend a lot of time together outside of the track, and as I say, most of our dinners of a night are talking about mountain bikes and motorbikes, jet skis, all sorts of things outside of motorsport. Enjoy the competition, and keep it simple. One of the difficult things in this sport, in this day and age, is everyone tries to overcomplicate it. And it is a big sport. There is a lot of money involved. There's television, there's social media, there's a lot of commitments. Car-wise, performance-wise, there's so much analysis these days. There's 100 sensors on the car, and we can create another 1,000 sensors or bits of data that you can use. But I just think, for me, I really believe in keeping it simple and making sure that you control the things in your control, and just make sure you focus on the simple things and what the sport's all about, and not steer too far away from that. I believe so. I'm really I'm envious and jealous of. I look back at film clips and home videos where you see people just living their life, enjoying themselves. Just sitting on a beach or going water skiing. Everyone was involved. Now everyone's just too busy. Everyone's on their phones half the time in social events. Too busy. I've got a fantastic wakeboarding boat, but to try to get a crew together, just to go water skiing and just forget about everything else, but just enjoy this great country of ours. A lot of I find that people are distracted by just what life's all about, and just out there having fun. So just trying to keep it simple. For sure. Certainly within my team, everyone knows personal life and what I do on weekends. It's no secret at all. I tend to try to keep that out of the media, so to speak. I really want them the rest of the world to focus on on my career. Of course, I've got no dramas, my career, and my driving being as publicised as possible. But my personal life, when all that, and that is so much of my life, when that is all getting recorded and on show, you got to have something to yourself. So I certainly try to keep my private life private, but not from the team. The team are somewhat family to me, so we're all in each other's business. Yeah, I've spent the last almost 20 years developing a knowledge of how to get to a race meeting and perform the best as a racing driver. A lot of that's documented and can be shared. So I feel like it'd be a bit of a waste to not make the most of all that knowledge and all that documented information. So I'd love to share that with some young kids, and if it can make them 5 or 10% better, that'd be I'd feel quite satisfied out of that. So no doubt, I'm still in the heat of the battle at the moment. I'm still trying to generate more knowledge at the moment, but I'm sure in 4 or 5 years' time, I'll hang the helmet up or move away from the professional side of things, and I'd certainly love to help out some young kids without doubt. For me, I never had a mentor. I never really needed it, so I can see some people. It would be really important to have someone to look up to, or someone as a coach, so to speak, to listen to. But for me, every athlete's different. For me, it wasn't about that. It was just about being self-taught and learning how to analyse yourself personally rather than being told by somebody else. No, I had no one I looked up to, there was no mentor. I think later in life, probably the last 10 years, I really look up to Roger Federer. I just think him as an athlete is amazing. I just watch the way he goes about his sport, and I see a lot of good there, and certainly try to mirror some of that. No fuss, no big speeches, no I'm here, how good am I? Just rocks up, does the damage, goes home. I really like that style. To be there for your teammates, you've got to care for them, and to care for them, you need to know that person and need to know what they do, especially outside of the sport, in their personal life. So spending time with people almost we've created a bit of a family atmosphere where everyone, they're not just a teammate, they almost feel like a family member, and you care for that person. So when you see them on the big day, when it's when the tough's getting tough, and if you care for that person, you're going to be there for them and absolutely go into bat and make sure that you're right behind them, helping them out. My main motivation growing up was just to try to. My main motivation growing up was respecting my parents in a weird way. My mother and father sacrificed so much for my racing career. I say racing career. It's more for me to have an interest on the weekend. And I spent most of my weekends with mum and dad at racetracks, all trying to do something great as a family. And great is in doing the best we can. And that motivation's still pretty solid now. The sacrifice that they put in to give me a career, I certainly respect that and make sure that I'm given absolutely everything I got right to the last lap of the last race. Well, everyone's analysing what the car's doing. There's over 100 different sensors, so all that information's getting streamed back live to the pits, and they're analysing that. So gone are the days of me looking at the engine temperature, because they'll tell me that the engine's getting too hot before I know. But I certainly don't feel, I'm not alone in the car, no doubt. We've got the radio in, and hopefully, I'm sure those guys and girls don't feel alone back in the pits as well. We're all in it together. So yeah, I'm driving the car and somebody's in the background analysing how much fuel we got, but we all work together to try to make sure that if we've got 25 laps of fuel left and the race is 30 laps long, we all work together to try to get there and make it work. So it's, once again, no one's feeling alone. We're a team trying to get the best result possible. To get a car to the finish line, just for one, but ahead of everyone else, there's so many elements involved. So it's quite complex. There's the driving element, there's all the fuel economy stuff, there's making sure the car's running properly. There's a strategy, trying to get in and out of the pits at the right time, get the right tyres on the car, looking at the weather, is the rain coming, is it not? There's so much involved. So yeah, the team need to work together, and we need to trust each other that we need to trust each other one person can't do everything. I can't be, we've got to trust that the fuel analysis is right, the strategy's right. Yeah, we can question each other and offer up some advice at the time, but once someone's made the decision, that's what's happening, and we respect that decision and make it work. There's a fuel race, so you've got to get to the end. So that fuel number is critical, you know what I mean? So if you make it to the end, if you take the risk and go, we're not pitting again, we're getting to the end, the person that's running those fuel numbers, they feel like they've had the win. They feel like they've had the win more than anyone else. So they're just like, you know what I mean? That they've got massive satisfaction. So you don't need to go up to that person and go, hey, you were involved in that. They know. Yeah. Or the pit stop guy, if we've jumped someone, say we've jumped someone in the pits, and that was a track that it's very hard to pass, boom. That pit stop crew, they feel like they've won the race more than... Now, of course, we all contribute, but they feel top of the world. It's not like we go up to the boys, hey, boys, you know that pit stop won you the race. They know that. And then the people in the accounts department, we can't go racing if we can't afford to build the cars and buy the tyres. So they understand how critical and how important they are to the team. So it's fairly automatic that when we do get a result, everyone knows that they've contributed. They've brought the best of their knowledge to the table. It's been considered, and then that's all part of the big picture and trying to get us to the finish line first. And when we do achieve that, then everyone knows they're massively involved. If we all perform at an okay level, then yeah, we'll run 5th or 6th or so. If some of us perform really well, yeah, you might get on the back of the podium, But to win the race, to beat everyone else, who are all very, very slick outfits, who are all battling as hard as they possibly can, to beat the rest of the field, everyone has to be performing at an unbelievably high level. We all know that. And everyone, on those days, everyone raises each other up, and no one wants to be the weakest link, but everyone wants to make sure that they perform at what the standard that the team has set. And those days when we all know we've stepped up and then got the end result, it's a money can't buy experience.